and also to remove any obstacles in relation with the successful building of the stupa. Now the basis of the stupa, what we see down here, this stands for the 10 wholesome actions of body, speech and mind. And they actually form the basis of spiritual training. Because this relates to karma, of course, the law of cause and effect, where everything we do, say, and also mentally think, conceptualize, let's say, will have an effect in our own experience and also in our life together with other beings. And so the 10 wholesome acts of body, speech and mind, they form the basis of spiritual progress. And I will explain more about that later. Now, here we can also see how the 5 elements are being represented by a stupa. The earth element, water element, fire element, wind element, and space. So these are the 10 wholesome acts. Preserving life as opposed to taking life. Giving what is needed as opposed to taking what hasn't been given. Wholesome sexuality as opposed to adultery or unwholesome sexuality. Speaking the truth as opposed to lying. Reconciling conflict as opposed to sowing discord. Gently speaking as opposed to harsh words. Meaningful speaking as opposed to just idle gossip. Practicing contentment as opposed to coveting others' possession, might they be their objects or people. Developing care as opposed to maliciousness, and turning towards the true meaning as opposed to wrong understanding of reality, wrong views. Now, of all these, actually, wrong views or wrong understanding of reality has the most severe consequences, because everything else comes from that. Everything else comes from not being able to really understand what's going on. Where do we come from? What are we doing here? Where are we going? And why do we feel sometimes so happy and sometimes so bad? Yeah? This forms the ground of the path as taught by the Buddha. The second aspect here, when we look at these 3 steps, they actually stand for what I call the 3 jewels, which are the Buddha as the inspiration and also the origin of the teachings, but also as the final state or the goal of the path. And here we don't just speak about the person. Here we speak about awakened being. Yeah? Fully blossomed qualities and completely purified obscurations, misunderstandings. Dharma stands for the teaching. Sangha stands for the community of those practitioners or people who are developing in that direction. This is also called the refuge, meaning that we can rely on this. This is something that in this changing world we can rely on. Now, Buddha is our own nature. It's already there. It doesn't come from outside, doesn't come just because we are Buddhists, or it's not what you call it that matters. It just means that our basic nature is an awakened nature that we can trust in because it is fundamentally sane. The Dharma is also the methods and the practices that allow us to come in contact with that nature and actually actualize it. And Sangha are also the guides and the teachers who help us progress. And this is a refuge because it's unfailing. These 2 are actually temporary. We only need them on our way to here. This is something which is a final place where we ourselves, because of our development, actually become a source for the benefit of others and become a source of refuge for others. This space here It's also called the throne, or the lion throne, and it relates to fearlessnesses that a Buddha possesses. 4 fearlessnesses. And they come from 4 knowledges. And these knowledges are the knowledge that all the factors of existence have been understood. Certainty. Then understanding where all the obstacles come from and how to stop these obstacles. Understanding how the path is accomplished. And this actually is the most interesting because this has to do with renunciation and not properly understanding renunciation. Yeah? So this is a very misunderstood term, actually, renunciation. Because what we need to renounce is just basically our wrong ideas about things that are very dear to us, but they actually hinder us from being in contact with what's happening at the present moment. The ideas we have about ourselves, the ideas we have about other people, they actually hinder us with truly relating to who we have in front of us and who we are right now, ourselves. In generally, most people relate to the present by what they have experienced before, and they expect something in the future also based on what they've experienced before. So they are actually never really seeing what's going on now because they're so full of imprints based on what already happened. Understanding the end of corruption means having a complete certainty that all the confusion in the mind, all the artificiality in one's being has come to an end.